I never thought I'd be sharing this story, but I need advice. I'm Fiona, 28F, and I've been with my boyfriend Maurice, 30M, for 5 years. We met at my best friend's wedding where Maurice was the best man. I was a bridesmaid, and we hit it off immediately during the rehearsal dinner. He made me laugh with his terrible dance moves and charmed me with his knowledge of obscure movie trivia. By the time the wedding rolled around, we were inseparable. Our relationship moved quickly after that. Within 6 months, we were talking about moving in together. I was hesitant at first because I'd been burned before. My last serious relationship ended when I caught my ex cheating with his coworker. But Maurice was different, or so I thought. He was attentive, caring, and always seemed to put our relationship first. We moved in together after a year of dating. At first, everything was perfect. We'd cook dinner together, binge-watch TV shows, and spend lazy Sundays exploring our city. Maurice even surprised me with a puppy for our first anniversary of living together. We named him Buddy, and he quickly became an integral part of our little family. About 2 years into our relationship, I started noticing changes in Maurice's behavior. It was subtle at first. He'd be on his phone more often, quickly locking the screen when I walked into the room. He started working late more frequently, claiming he was trying to impress his new boss. I wanted to believe him, but something felt off. One night, while Maurice was in the shower, I checked his phone. I knew it wasn't right, but I couldn't shake the feeling that he was hiding something. What I found broke my heart. He had been texting his ex-girlfriend, Liberty, 29F, for months. The messages were flirty and inappropriate, with Maurice telling her how much he missed her and how he couldn't stop thinking about her. When I confronted Maurice, he broke down and admitted that he had been emotionally cheating on me with Liberty. He swore it never got physical, but the damage was done. I was devastated, but I loved him, so I decided to give him another chance. We went to couples counseling and worked on rebuilding trust. During our counseling sessions, Maurice revealed that he had commitment issues stemming from his parents' messy divorce when he was a teenager. His father had multiple affairs, and Maurice had witnessed the fallout firsthand. He said he was afraid of turning into his father, which led him to self-sabotage our relationship. While I sympathized with his past, I made it clear that it wasn't an excuse for his behavior. Things improved for a while. Maurice became more open with his phone and even gave me his passwords as a sign of trust. We started having weekly date nights and even talked about our future together. I thought we had finally overcome our issues. But about a year later, I caught Maurice sexting with a coworker, Emma, 25F. This time, I was ready to leave, but Maurice begged me to stay. He promised to change and even quit his job to prove his commitment to our relationship. He said Emma had been pursuing him for months and that he had momentarily given in to temptation but regretted it immediately. Against my better judgment, I agreed to give him one last chance. Maurice started seeing a therapist individually to work on his issues, and we continued our couples counseling. He got a new job at a different company and seemed committed to making our relationship work. For the next 2 years, things were good. We took a couple of vacations together, including a memorable trip to Italy where we explored Rome and the Amalfi Coast. Maurice was attentive and loving, and I started to believe that maybe we had finally moved past our issues. Fast forward to last month. Maurice proposed to me on our 5th anniversary. He planned an elaborate surprise, recreating our first date at the little Italian restaurant where we had dinner after the wedding where we met. He even had my best friend and her husband there to celebrate with us. It was a beautiful moment, and I said yes, thinking we had finally overcome our past issues. But just last week, my world came crashing down again. I was using Maurice's laptop to check our joint bank account when I noticed a notification pop up from Instagram. Curious, I clicked on it, only to discover that Maurice has been maintaining a secret Instagram account where he's been messaging multiple women, sending them flirty messages and even explicit photos. I'm heartbroken and angry. I feel like a fool for believing Maurice could change. I haven't confronted him yet because I'm not sure how to approach this. Part of me wants to pack my bags and leave without a word, but another part feels like I deserve an explanation. To make matters worse, we're supposed to have an engagement party next month. All our friends and family are excited, and I feel trapped. My parents, who have been married for 35 years, are thrilled about the engagement. They've always loved Maurice and even joked about when we'd finally tie the knot. The thought of telling them about this latest betrayal makes me feel physically ill. I've always been close to my younger sister, Mia, 24F, but I haven't told her about this latest development. She's been so happy about my engagement, even offering to help plan the wedding. Mia has always looked up to me, and I've tried to be a good role model for her, especially after our parents went through a rough patch when we were teenagers. They almost divorced when I was 16 and Mia was 12, but they worked through their issues. I've always tried to protect Mia from relationship drama, not wanting her to become cynical about love. Looking back, I realized there were red flags from the beginning. Maurice would often comment on other women's appearances, even when I was around. He had a habit of staying in touch with his exes, claiming they were just friends. I brushed these things off, thinking I was being insecure. I remember one incident early in our relationship when we ran into his ex at a bar. Maurice spent most of the night talking to her, leaving me feeling like a third wheel. When I brought it up later, he accused me of being jealous and controlling. I've invested so much time and energy into this relationship, and the thought of starting over at 28 terrifies me. Most of my friends are married or in long-term relationships, and I feel like I'm back at square one. My best friend, the one whose wedding is where I met Maurice, just announced she's pregnant with her second child. The thought of attending baby showers and weddings alone fills me with dread. I need advice on how to handle this situation. Should I confront Maurice? Should I call off the engagement? How do I tell my family and friends? I feel lost and don't know where to turn. Part of me still loves Maurice and wants to believe he can change, but I'm not sure I have it in me to give him another chance. The trust feels irreparably broken. Update 1: It's been a month since my last post, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone for their support and advice. Your words gave me the strength to confront Maurice and make some tough decisions. The day after I made my post, I decided to confront Maurice about his secret Instagram account. I waited until he came home from work and asked him to sit down for a serious talk. At first, he tried to act like everything was normal, asking about my day and talking about dinner plans. I cut him off and told him I knew about the Instagram account and the messages he'd been sending to other women. Maurice's reaction was not what I expected. Instead of denying it or apologizing, he got angry. He accused me of invading his privacy and said I was being controlling. He even had the audacity to say that what he did wasn't cheating because it was just online flirting. I was shocked by his response and realized at that moment that I didn't recognize the person I had agreed to marry. As we argued, more truths came to light. Maurice admitted that he had been struggling with the idea of commitment ever since he proposed. He said he loved me but wasn't sure if he was ready for marriage. He tried to justify his actions by saying he was just trying to see if he still had it with other women. His words felt like a slap in the face after everything we'd been through. I told Maurice that I was calling off the engagement and ending our relationship. He tried to backtrack, suddenly apologizing and promising to change, but I'd heard it all before. I told him I needed him to move out of our apartment within a week. The next few days were a blur. I had to call our families and friends to cancel the engagement party. It was embarrassing and painful, but I knew it was necessary. My parents were shocked and disappointed. My mom kept asking if we could work things out, not fully understanding the extent of Maurice's betrayal. My dad, on the other hand, was furious. He wanted to confront Maurice himself, but I managed to talk him out of it. Most of our friends were supportive, but a few mutual friends suggested I was overreacting. One even said, "All men do this kind of thing online." Their comments made me question my decision briefly, but deep down, I knew I was doing the right thing. Telling my sister Mia was the hardest part. I finally opened up to her about everything that had happened over the years with Maurice. She was furious at first, not just at Maurice but at me for not confiding in her sooner. She cried, saying she felt like she had failed as a sister by not noticing my pain. After her initial anger subsided, she became my biggest supporter. She helped me pack up Maurice's things and even stayed with me for a few days to make sure I was okay. During this time, I also had to figure out what to do about our dog, Buddy. Maurice and I had raised him together for the past 3 years, and the thought of losing him on top of everything else was heartbreaking. After much discussion and a few heated arguments, we agreed that Buddy would stay with me, but Maurice would get visitation rights. Maurice moved out a week later, but the drama didn't end there. He started telling our mutual friends that I had cheated on him, which is completely false. He claimed that I had been talking to an ex-boyfriend behind his back, twisting an innocent conversation I had with a male co-worker into something it wasn't. Some people believed him, and I lost a few friends in the process. It hurt, but it also showed me who my true friends were. The hardest part has been dealing with the loneliness. After 5 years of being part of a couple, I'm struggling to adjust to single life. Our apartment feels too big and empty without Maurice and his things. I've had moments of weakness where I've considered calling him, but I remind myself of all the pain he caused. I'm taking it one day at a time. I've thrown myself into work, taking on extra projects to keep my mind occupied. I've also started reconnecting with old friends I'd lost touch with during my relationship. Last weekend, I met up with my college roommate whom I hadn't seen in years. We spent the day catching up, and it felt good to laugh and reminisce about simpler times. I'm not ready to date yet, but I'm slowly starting to feel like myself again. I've started a journal to process my feelings and have been going to a weekly yoga class to help manage my stress and anxiety. There are still tough moments. Last night, I found one of Maurice's old t-shirts that had been missed when we were packing up his things. The familiar scent brought back a flood of memories, both good and bad. I cried for the first time in weeks, mourning not just the end of my relationship, but the future I thought I was going to have. I still have a lot of healing to do, but I know I made the right decision. Thank you again to everyone who supported me and gave me the courage to stand up for myself. Your words have been a lifeline during this difficult time. Update 2. It's been 3 months since my last update, and I wanted to share some developments. Life has been a roller coaster, but I'm slowly finding my footing. About a month ago, I ran into Liberty, Maurice's ex-girlfriend, at a local coffee shop. I was hesitant to talk to her, but she approached me and asked if we could chat. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Liberty revealed that Maurice had been lying to both of us for years. While he was with me, he had been telling Liberty that we were on the verge of breaking up and that he still had feelings for her. She showed me messages where Maurice had made plans to meet up with her, claiming he was going on business trips when he was actually spending time with her. I was shocked and hurt all over again. It felt like every time I thought I knew the full extent of Maurice's betrayal, another layer was revealed. Liberty apologized for her part in the situation, saying she had no idea the extent of Maurice's lies. We ended up talking for hours, sharing our experiences and finding a strange sense of camaraderie in our shared pain. Liberty told me about her history with Maurice. They had dated in college and had what she described as a tumultuous relationship. Maurice would frequently break up with her, only to come back weeks later swearing he had changed. This pattern continued even after Maurice and I got together. Liberty admitted that she had always hoped Maurice would leave me and come back to her for good. Hearing her side of the story made me realize how skilled Maurice was at manipulating people's emotions. On a more positive note, I've been focusing on rebuilding my life. I started taking a photography class, something I've always wanted to do but never found the time for when I was with Maurice. It's been therapeutic, allowing me to see the world through a new lens, pun intended. I've even started an Instagram account to share my photos, reclaiming the platform that was once a source of pain. My sister Mia has been my rock through all of this. She's been staying with me more often, and we've grown even closer. She encouraged me to redecorate the apartment, saying it needed to feel like my space, not a reminder of my life with Maurice. We spent a weekend painting the walls, rearranging furniture, and hanging new artwork. It was exhausting but cathartic. Mia also convinced me to adopt a cat from the local shelter. I was hesitant at first, worried about how Buddy would react, but they've become fast friends. Having a new furry companion has helped fill some of the emptiness in the apartment. Last week, I received a letter from Maurice. He wrote that he was sorry for everything and that he was getting help for his issues. He mentioned that he had started seeing a therapist regularly and was working on understanding his fear of commitment. Part of me wanted to believe him, but I reminded myself of all the times he had made similar promises. I decided not to respond. I'm still not ready to date, but I'm learning to enjoy my own company. I've started a journal to process my feelings and have been spending more time with my girlfriends. We've had movie nights, wine tastings, and even took a weekend trip to the beach. It feels good to laugh and have fun without constantly worrying about what Maurice is doing. There are still tough days. Sometimes I miss the familiarity of being in a relationship, of having someone to come home to. But then I remember the anxiety and pain of constantly wondering if I was being lied to, and I know I'm better off now. I'm taking it one day at a time, focusing on healing and rediscovering who I am outside of a relationship. Thank you all for your continued support and kind words. It means more than you know. Update 3. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I wanted to share some final thoughts on this chapter of my life. The biggest news is that I've moved to a new city for a job opportunity. After everything that happened, I felt like I needed a fresh start. It was a scary decision, but it's turned out to be exactly what I needed. The new job is challenging but rewarding, and I'm slowly making new friends. The decision to move wasn't easy. I agonized over it for weeks, worried about leaving behind my support system and the comfort of familiarity. But when the opportunity came up to lead a new project at a prestigious marketing firm in Chicago, I knew I had to take it. Mia was incredibly supportive, helping me pack up my apartment and even driving with me to Chicago to help me get settled. Before I left, I had one last encounter with Maurice. We ran into each other at a mutual friend's wedding. It was awkward at first, but we managed to have a civil conversation. Maurice apologized again for his behavior and told me he was still in therapy. He looked different somehow, more grounded, less like the charming but unstable person I had known. We talked about our relationship and the mistakes we'd both made. While it didn't erase the pain he had caused, it did provide some closure. I wished him well but made it clear that we could never be more than acquaintances. My sister Mia visited me last month, and it was great to show her around my new city. We explored the Art Institute, took an architecture boat tour, and indulged in deep dish pizza. One night, over a bottle of wine, we had a heart-to-heart about relationships and our family. Mia confessed that my experience with Maurice had made her more cautious in her own dating life. We talked about our parents' near divorce and how it affected our views on relationships. It was a healing conversation for both of us, bringing us even closer. I've started dating again, casually. I'm taking things slow and being upfront about my past experiences. It's been nice to meet new people without the pressure of jumping into a serious relationship. I've had a few coffee dates and even went to a concert with a guy from work. While none of these have turned into anything serious, it's helped me regain confidence in myself. My new job has been keeping me busy. I'm leading a team on a major campaign for a well-known tech company, and it's been both challenging and exciting. The long hours and intense work have been a welcome distraction, helping me focus on my career rather than dwelling on the past. I've also been continuing with my photography hobby. Chicago has provided endless inspiration, from the stunning architecture to the vibrant street scenes. I've even had a few of my photos featured in a local gallery's exhibition for emerging artists. It was a small thing, but it felt like a huge personal victory. Buddy has adjusted well to city life. We go for long walks along Lake Michigan, and he's become a regular at the local dog park. Having him with me has made the transition to a new city much easier. He's a constant reminder of the good things I brought with me from my old life. Looking back, I can see how much I've grown from this experience. I've learned to trust my instincts and to value myself more. I no longer feel like I need to be in a relationship to be complete. I'm more assertive in setting boundaries, both in my personal and professional life. That's not to say everything is perfect. There are still days when I feel lonely or doubt my decisions. Sometimes I catch myself wondering what life would be like if things had worked out with Maurice. But these moments are becoming less frequent and less intense. I recently had a conversation with my mom that I think illustrates how far I've come. She called to check in, as she often does, and asked if I was seeing anyone. In the past, I might have felt pressured or defensive. Instead, I calmly explained that I'm focusing on myself right now and that I'm happy with where I am in life. To my surprise, she understood and even expressed pride in how I've handled everything. To anyone going through a similar situation, know that it does get better. It's not easy, and there will be days when you feel like you're taking steps backward, but keep pushing forward. You're stronger than you know. Don't be afraid to lean on your support system, but also don't be afraid to stand on your own. Thank you all for being part of this journey with me. Your support and advice have been invaluable. I'm closing this chapter of my life with hope for the future and gratitude for the lessons I've learned along the way. While I can't predict what the future holds, I know that I'm better equipped to face it now. Here's to new beginnings and the strength we find in ourselves when we need it most.